As usual, we start waxing with the wax coping first. If you notice, I'm running all the way around in a circular direction. This kind of allows me to put an even layer on, so as we take the crown off, if we need to, it's gonna have a nice surface on the inside. It's not gonna have like little ripply effects. Okay, so now we put it back into the model. Make sure that we have the lingual to the lingual, and then we press it down. Make sure it's all the way down. You see how the margin doesn't show at all? So I keep telling you guys, just press it down. This way when you finish waxing, it's not gonna keep popping up. So we start with the buckle cusps. At least I do. This will allow me to bring it up to the line of the curve of P. Kind of draw an imaginary line between the premolars and the second molar, and that will allow you to extrapolate how high to make the cusp tips. And we go out a little bit. So we can make the mesio-buccal point angle. Then we'll go and make the disto-buccal point angle. Then we finish up the mesio-buccal cusp ridge. This is the distal slope. Then we'll do the disto-buccal cusp ridge, the mesial slope. Now the disto-buccal lobe or line angle. Mesio-buccal line angle. But this one doesn't really have a central lobe, so we're making the mesial lobe and the distal lobe. And both lobes have a line angle, one on the mesial and one on the distal. Once you built up the lobe, then we go ahead and do the gingival, and the height of contour will be right here. might need the saw here, so I had to go get it. So we can split it off in case we join it together by mistake. So now we do the lingual cusps. Remember that the upper molars are shaped like a rhombus, so we say it's rhomboidal in shape. It's like a twisted rectangle. So now we do the mesio-marginal ridge. Make sure that the marginal ridge goes right up against the adjacent tooth. Just like that. Then we're gonna do the distal cusp. We start going with the marginal ridge. Make sure you get that height right. You see how it's a little lower still? You gotta raise up that cusp height. Almost there. Okay, so now let's puddle in that little area here. This will give us a little more stable space. Alright, let's get these cusp tips in line. To make that into a rhomboidal shape. So that means that the mesio-buccal cusp will be shifted towards the mesial, and the distolingual cusp will be shifted towards the distal, and then the mesiolingual cusp will also be shifted a little bit to the distal. So now we're going to start doing the marginal ridges on the buccal. Remember, it's going to be a teardrop shape, which is more or less like a triangle but rounder. Remember, teeth are not geometric, they are round. Triangular ridges are really more like teardrop shaped ridges, so they flow, they don't have angles to them. Once we did the buccal triangular ridges, we're gonna do the oblique ridge, which will run right into the distal buccal triangular ridge, just like that. You see? Just think of a smile. Let's work on this cusp tip a little bit with distal buccal, distal lingual. Alright, let's make a little bit more room here. This way maybe we can put a little secondary ridge there. Can make a little tiny triangular ridge right here. And this kind of gives us the distal lingual groove right there. Now we're going to add a secondary ridge since we have the room. Remember, if you drip it, you can always take it out. But then we have to round this again to make it look natural. And then let's give it another shot. Secondary ridge right there. Make sure it's not too hot, because you're gonna wipe everything out. Here we don't have that much space, so I think we will just puddle this in a little bit. Maybe we could probably add a little ridge right there, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, just like that. And we can move on to here. Here we'll might as well just puddle it in a bit. Puddle that in. And then we'll make a little triangular ridge right there on the mesiolingual cusp, and I'm gonna run that right into the central pit. Just like that. It's all about the heat, everybody. All about the heat. So try to get that heat under control. Takes a little bit of time, but you'll get it. Okay. So that's some of our occlusal anatomy. It's not finished yet, but we got a good start. Now we'll fill in the lingual. The mesiolingual lobe is pretty large, so you just basically just try to fill it in as fast as you can. There's the distal lobe, which is a lot smaller than the mesial. So we'll have the lingual groove will run right through this area here, and then it'll fade out towards the gingival. Yeah, let's make that groove a little less deep. Okay, so now it's time to add the cusp of Carabelli, which is just nothing more than a little protrusion that comes right out of the mesiolingual cusp. Some doctors don't even like it, because sometimes the patients complain that they're asking questions about what that bump is. So a lot of times the dentists just have you take it off. I think it looks nice, but it's all about how the patient feels, not about how you feel. Remember, the customer is always right. Now just take off some of the excess. Divide this up a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll take this saw, and we're going to saw right through the interproximal so that we can pop it out and fix the margins. Those ugly margins. Remember not to overfill it here, because this is what's going to cause the tooth to keep popping out of the model. A little smoky there. And just melt it right in there. After we fill that up, and just go around the margins with the instrument. Make sure that the wax goes exactly to the margin. And give it a nice emergence from the gum so that it doesn't keep popping out. And remember, rhombus. See the shape? Rhombus. we're gonna do after this is just start fixing everything up, making sure that it looks similar to the original teeth. Like I can see this one here, I can already see that the cusp tips are a little too steep and this developmental groove is too deep, I think, but we shall have to compare. Okay, so we push it in and we will compare it to the rest of the teeth. So we'll have to fill this in a little bit right here, because this tooth here is there but not quite as much as this. So let's go ahead, give it a little more wax right here. Kind of look at it from the frontal view, make sure it doesn't pop out too much. Right now it's a little bit too bulky on the gingival if you compare it to the second molar right here. So let's take a little bit of that off right from the gingival. Just make sure you don't make it too straight, because like I said before, too straight is no good and too bulky is no good. Like these teeth here, these are too straight, because if you notice, the emergence profile doesn't come out enough. So if this patient will start chewing, the food will get packed right into here, right into the gum, and we don't need that. So we need to have a little bit of a roundness so that the teeth can direct the food away from the gum, so you don't make the pockets too deep. I think that should be okay.